It's not. Got it. Leave meeting. No. Got it. Okay.
Okay, here we go. There we go. Now it's going.
How come I'm not looking at the video like before?
Let's see. You're.
Am
Let's
I
see.
live? I'm glad you know more about this than I do, because I used to have people, Jody to everyone, excited to be here. Oh, okay. Are all these people online, or? I don't know. It looks like I lost her.
Hi, Howard. My name is Sarah Wilson. I'm executive director of the museum. We haven't officially met yet, but I think it looks to me like Shelley's maybe jumping in and out.
Sorry.
So that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
Howard, do you know how to share your video, to start your video?
No, but I will. As soon as I figure it out.
So over down in the left-hand side of your screen, there should be a little video camera. And so in order for us to see you, you're going to need to hit that little video camera.
There we go.
There
you
you
are.
are. Awesome.
And shaved and cleaned up. Look at that.
Oh, look at you. You look very nice.
Thank you.
Okay,
Perfect.
before we begin, I'd like to read a disclaimer. This free virtual series features an educational program on a topic of mental health. This event is for generalized information, as in no way a form of diagnosis. Please consult with your doctor or therapist for specific medical or psychological advice. We are merely starting the discussion to help destigmatize mental health. Mental illnesses, symptoms, diagnosis, and treatment methods are all a highly individualized process. And with that, I would like to introduce Howard Dully. I don't know if you can see, my video is off.
There you are.
Here we go. Okay, this is his book, My Lobotomy, a memoir. And on the back of it, I'll read to you. My name is Howard Dully. In 1960, when I was 12 years old, I was given a lobotomy. My stepmother arranged it. My father agreed to it. Dr. Walter Friedman, the man who invented the ice pick lobotomy, performed it. My family paid the hospital $200. I never understood why. I wasn't a violent kid. I had never hurt anyone. I wasn't failing out of school. Was there something I had done that was so horrible I deserved a lobotomy? I asked myself that question for more than 40 years. Then, when I turned 54, I went looking for the answer. And before you begin, Howard, I'd like to remind everybody, please mute and stay muted. If you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We will try to get to them at the end of the program. It's all yours, Howard.
Well, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. And excuse me if I get choked up. My story makes me cry. You know.
Sure.
So anyhow, I am now 74 years old. So I've survived, that's for sure. I was born 1948. My mother passed away when I was about 4 years old, maybe 5. I had a full brother and actually 2 full brothers. Bruce was born with half a brain. And that was because my mom, I believe, had cancer at the time. And it was undiagnosed, and she died 13 days after his birth. So he was slow, to say the least, retarded, if that's a proper term nowadays, I don't know. But I would say more retarded than slow. You were definitely aware of his disability. So there's much I can tell you about Bruce. He went to live with a family member up in Washington State who was a fire chief, and his wife, and I think they were related to my dad's side of the family. And we didn't really see him much once he left. It was kind of like my dad couldn't deal with him, couldn't handle him, so away he went, which is kind of what I felt like after a while. But not to get ahead of the story, my dad was a school teacher. First, he was a lumberjack. I don't know how the two correspond, but he was a tally man, so that gave him some math issues. He was going to San Jose State because he one day had a stroke up at Medford, Oregon, at the lumber place, and the doctors down here, when he came to see him, said not to work in that anymore. I don't know how stressful it was or why. So he didn't. He went to school and he worked jobs down here while he went to San Jose State to get his teaching credentials. He's been to Stanford. So my dad, credential-wise and book learning, is way up in the list. I think that's fine. Unfortunately, I don't think it crossed over to actually dealing with family life and kids. Okay. And it can be that way. You can deal with some people's children in a classroom for, how do we say it, 8 hours or how many hours the teachers have them. And yet when you have to deal with them one-on-one at home, not being very competent at it. Yeah, we were stuck with, my dad was stuck with us, I guess is how I should put it, me and Brian. And he moved in with family members. So wound up at Grandma Boo moved down, her name was Beulah, moved down to Palo Alto by the train depot. She worked for Southern Pacific up in San Francisco. And my dad moved into the house with us in Palo Alto. That's where I first went to school. Scared to death when I went to school. Then, he started teaching after he got his credentials in Los Altos School District in Los Altos. And the women all got to know my father from the classroom and stuff. And like women are, my dad was single, a school teacher, 2 kids. So they needed to hook him up, I guess. It's the only way I know how to put it. Lou did some commiserating with people. My father was one, and that's how she met my dad, Lucille Harden. Her name was Cox, though. And she had 2 boys. And I presume my dad knew them somehow. So they got together and had dinner or whatever it is, and those kids moved in to her house in Los Altos because her husband left her. They separated. He drank a lot and left her with 2 kids and at least a house in Los Altos, which isn't shabby because Los Altos is one of the upper level places to live. Okay, if I may say so myself. Not that we were rich enough to live there on a school teacher's salary. So apparently she owned the house and my dad worked to get the money in between. And things went along okay. Things started to go awry when my dad went to Fort Sill to military school for howitzers. He was in the National Guard. He had been in World War II. Underage, he was 17 when he joined the Army in World War II, but somehow he got in. I don't know exactly how they worked it that day with his 2 brothers. And he was in the railroad division then. He came back from World War II. My uncle said that the man that left for Germany or France never came back. Wasn't the same man. So they got married, and we lived in this little ranch house in Los Altos. Cleon was her oldest son. He was kind of stayed away from us kids because we were little brats, I think, then. And George was like 3 months older than me. He was a stepbrother. He was born in August, and I was born in November. And he was Lou's son, and Brian and I, and Lou and Rod. And we called her Mama Lou. I was always told to call her Mom, and I did, and I still do. I don't know if it's because of the respect I have or what. Not that she deserved it, but you know, I mean, she wasn't all bad. She fed us and clothed us and stuff like that. But there were issues that went on there. I moved up. I was in trouble in school a lot. I really missed my real mom. I didn't like Lou because I felt that she was trying to take my real mother's place in my own mind. I don't know if that's normal for kids that lose their one of their parents or not, but it was for me. And I really didn't like her. And I guess she more than sensed it. And I don't think she liked me. The difference is I was a little kid and she's a full-grown adult. So we know how that should have gone and didn't. And, you know, I received punishments, and then I would act up, and then she'd punish me more, and it just escalated. So later on, we moved to Edgewood, which was the old Marion mansion in Los Altos, and traded the house for that. I think the mansion only cost my dad and mom $20,000 or something like that. It wasn't a great deal of money back now, but back then it might have been. Anyhow, they finagled it somehow and they got it, and it was still the same deal. My dad worked many jobs, not only to make us live, to help us live, but I think also to get away from Lou, if you want the truth, because he worked school teaching. He worked at Eastman Kodak and in the graveyard swing shift, and sometimes actually swing shift he was at White Cliff Market, and graveyard he was at Eastman Kodak. So I mean, having 3 jobs in one day is that's a lot of work, a lot of time to be away. And you know, weekends he worked at other places. So my dad was almost always gone. That left us with Lou, and Lou had very strict rules. She was of German descent, so am I. I'm also Estonian and Irish and Dutch. So I'm a Heinz 57 variety there. And but she had very strict rules in the house, you know, about cleanliness. I mean, it was like Better Homes and Gardens could have walked in the front door and started filming pictures for their magazine without anything having to be done to it. And us kids weren't too good at keeping the place that way, or at least I certainly wasn't. So we had a lot of animosity. I got kicked out of school in the 8th grade for shooting one of the teachers with a paperclip. Get a rubber band and you hook a paperclip and pull it back and hit him. It was Mr. Proctor. No one liked him, but I liked him even less. So I thought I'd gain brownie points with the other kids if when he turned around, I'd let him have it with a paperclip. And there was an empty desk next to me and around 4 other people, and I put the paper clips and rubber band in the empty desk so they couldn't tie them to me. And I should have known that actually the 3 other girls that were sitting around that desk probably wouldn't be looked upon as shooting Mr. Proctor with a paperclip. Pretty much what it had to be me. But I went to what was a trial because it was in civics class. And they couldn't prove anything, I just denied it all. But I got sent to the principal's office anyhow and got suspended for a Friday at school. I had to stay home. Well, my dad, being a school teacher, is going to hear about this, and it's not going to look good. So Friday, I went over to my girlfriend's house and got in trouble there because I had to, make like I went to school. And I went into her house with her permission, not her mom's, but her permission. She said I could stay there during the day, but don't do anything. Well, I went out back in her house and I had left the key to the house inside the house and locked the door. So she was going to get off school and had to get into the house. So I figured I got to find a way in. Well, I checked all the windows and there weren't any open. And so I couldn't get in that way. So I went to the smallest window in a set of French doors and I broke it and reached in and unlocked the house and got in that way. Well, I didn't clean up the evidence because they're going to see the broken door. And I knew I was in for it anyhow. So I got a call that night and they talked to my dad about it. Everything came out. Monday, I didn't go to school and wound up, my dad went over and talked to either the principal or the school district and got me kicked out of every school in the district. Well, Lou was not going to have me staying at home underfoot, period. So it wound up eventually, I went to several doctors with her. I've been to many clinics, like 5 of them. And out of them, I think a few of them said she was the problem, not me. And the other ones said there was nothing wrong with me, period. Eventually, she found Freeman and took me to see him starting in September. And by November, he had me on the table doing a lobotomy. So he didn't really see me that much. And I didn't talk to him. He even said so in his paperwork that I was not willing to talk about the family because I didn't like talking about Lou and them. I wanted to forget them. And I kind of knew that if I did, since she was taking me to his office, if I did say anything about her, he's going to tell her. And that's just going to get me in more trouble. So I don't want to talk about it, And I didn't tell him that or explain that to him. He did all his little ink blot tests and all that stuff. He was very personable. He's a man that puts you at ease, gives you comfort, very calm talking, but you didn't know what was going on behind the wheels in the mind there. And I guess I found out. She was looking for a solution to me, and Freeman was looking for someone to perform a lobotomy on that was young enough to come out differently, hopefully. I have never, even though I'd like to think I was a success story, I would never want to be viewed as a success story because I don't want anyone else to get the procedure. I don't think it's a good thing. And I don't think anyone should have a procedure like that. To me, I don't know how accurate it could be jabbing ice picks in someone's eyes and wiggling them around like an egg beater and then pulling them out. I just somehow that doesn't make sense. Okay. And I'm sure it doesn't to many people. They said it worked on getting people home, but I would question in what condition. They may have got home because they weren't violent anymore, all kinds of things like that. But I don't think they were able to function very well at all. And in my case, it mentally caused me grief. It also made me feel like a freak Frankenstein, so to speak, a weirdo, those kind of things. So, because you never think you're the same now. Someone's cut into your brain. How could you possibly be intelligent or what you are? So I finally convinced myself I never really got the lobotomy. Freeman, excuse me for moving, I get uncomfortable a lot. Freeman took me to Langley Porter Hospital for a speech or talk 3 weeks after my lobotomy. So in December, I had the lobotomy, and in January, we were on our way to San Francisco for this talk. There were 2 other people there, Tom Wells, and a girl, and I don't remember the girl's name. It might be in the record, might even be in the book, because the researcher, Charles Fleming, was very good at finding things out that I didn't even know and writing. That's where we got on stage, and Freeman was booed when he presented me because of my age, and he flew off the handle and grabbed a box of Christmas cards and stood up and said, threw the cards onto the table and therefore onto the floor out of the box, and said, I've got 500 Christmas cards from my patients. How many do you have? And, he didn't tell them that he requested these cards. The family, my Lou, would get the card and fill it out herself and sign it. And I'm sure they did that with many of the families. I don't think as a patient I would ever send him a card, period. I rarely saw him after the procedure. I saw him that one time, and I remember one time in White Cliff Market, which is now Draeger's in Los Altos, in the parking lot. I was in the car or something to that effect. I was either in the car waiting for my dad or mom, or Senator Freeman came up to the window and talked to me for a few minutes. And through my existence after that, I think when I was in Ag News, he used to check up on me and stuff, but I never talked to him directly at Ag News. So, they have those 2-way mirrors, and they put you in a room. Someone goes in, asks you questions. I understand he was on the other side of the mirror in several of those instances. I went to, the procedure was done at Doctors General Hospital in San Jose at Lenson Avenue. The building is still there. The hospital is no longer there. It is now the Santa Clara County Health Department, believe it or not. And one of the ladies that worked there read my book and got in touch with me here in San Jose, invited me down to do a tour. And they took me all through the hospital, even the new part. But they took me to the actual room that I had the lobotomy in. And I remember that. And I couldn't find the room that they had me stay in the bed. I couldn't identify it, but if it was still there, and it probably was, I did go in it because I went in all the rooms in that section. And they introduced me to everybody in the health department. That was fairly exciting. And the county of Santa Clara gave me a proclamation because of the lobotomy. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't want a congratulations, you had a lobotomy from them, but maybe they felt somewhat responsible because the county didn't step in. Nobody stepped in. Nobody questioned it. But my family, some of them did. My Grandma Boo, my dad's mother, said not to do it. Grandma Daisy, my real mother's mother, was adamant about it. She was going to sue. She was going to do all kinds of things. But Dad said, don't worry about her, Freeman, I'll handle her. So the people that should have been protecting me didn't, is what I guess I'm trying to say. I mean, I don't know of any reason that I would ever warrant a lobotomy for anybody, for a child or anything like that. I understand there's chemicals now that kind of do the same thing, but I believe that if you quit taking the chemicals, they'll wear off and life will be the same. Once you cut someone's brain, it doesn't go back. I have pathways that grew back in my brain. They showed me in my MRI
Because of your age.
because they said because of my age. But how many of the pathways actually grew back, and where did they go? And are they still processing the way they would? Excuse my eye itches. Would they would have still processed if they weren't cut? So that's always the questions I have, and naturally, no one has the answers. You can't possibly have the answers. So to say that I'm a normal adult is not possible, but I am not off the rails to the point that I need to be dealt with in any way for that. So that in that form, I'm grateful. I'm thankful to God, in my belief, that I'm alive. Okay. I think he looked over me. In fact, my uncle told me that. He told me Uncle Orville, the one that took care of my dad when he lost his father and Beulah had to go to work, told me, don't worry about it. You're in God's hands. So Uncle Orville is passed now. He had a heart attack. So is his lovely wife, Evelyn. She's passed. Lou's passed. Lou died January 1st, 2000. So she died New Year's Day of 2000. I wasn't told about it then. Maybe they're afraid I'd be dancing in the streets. I don't know. My dad passed away, and my dad got to read the book because I was afraid that he actually had the information that I sought, and I didn't know how much I could get out of him. And the only other information actually that I got for the book was from Washington, Dr. Freeman's files, which are kept there at George Washington University, Gilman's library. And I do have the files in my house now, a copy of them at least. And they said that Freeman kept very good records. I didn't find that to be true. Not only did I not find it to be true, but he misspelled my brother's name, Brian, several times. He spelled it Bryon, and it's Brian. And he talks about an indictment from Lou. I don't know what form he felt this indictment was in, because all I saw was a bunch of complaints, if that's an indictment. And most of them were stupid, like she thought I was spastic. She thought I didn't clean up my room. I turned the lights on when it was daylight outside. Every office building in the world pretty much has their lights on. So let's give them all a lobotomy, okay? It's some ridiculous stuff. I didn't come home after school. Well, a 12-year-old does. You know, you want to go out and play and have fun with your friends. My stepbrother did, George. It was okay for him, but I had to come straight home and do my homework. Why didn't George have to? So, you know, it was all these things that I just felt were ludicrous. And I think maybe some of them might have been because of where I lived. You know, everyone had to be a good little boy and girl in Los Altos, at least to Lou. You know, it's a little angel, and I wasn't a little angel. I wasn't a robot. So that was an issue there. I felt, you know, I felt suppressed, I guess. And, you know, these are terms that I'd use now that I didn't know then. Lou used to cut our hair, almost as short as it is now, not quite. At least she gave me some. But she cleaned us up with an Electrolux vacuum. Back then, they had the old metal thing, and you unplug it, and it had the little thing that you could vacuum all the hair off you. Well, one day she hit me in the head with the Electrolux metal handle of the vacuum, right on top. She should have known it wouldn't have hurt me, because as long as I get hit in the head, I'm okay. That's a joke, by the way. She asked me if it hurt, and I said no, which is pretty stupid because she hit me again. So I rubbed my head, and she said, that hurt. And I said no. So she hit me a third time. Well, I started thinking to myself, if I don't tell this woman pretty soon that this hurts, she's going to kill me, you know? So I told her, yeah, it did hurt. And I never knew any of the other boys got any treatment like that. But later on, I was told that that was called the slapping stool that we sat on. So they must have got hit somehow. Maybe not with the Electrolux vacuum cleaner, but somehow they got hit. So I was very concerned for Brian. My brother seemed very juvenile. He'd play with blocks on the floor and all that. And I tried to toughen him up and keep him under the radar for Lou, because, I didn't want her beating on him or picking on him. I didn't know if she did or didn't, but, he was always in his room, and I'd go running in there and invade his territory like an invading horde and knock over his block castles and stuff like that, which got me in trouble. Okay. Brian says he doesn't remember that ever happening. Believe me, it did. Okay. That's just, I'm honest about it. I wasn't always the nicest boy. I had my issues, but like I said, nothing I think required a lobotomy. She used to do strange things like when we went to the bathroom, wipe our bottom or inspect us. And I just thought that was weird. I don't want to show anyone my rear end or anything like that, And we used to have to call her. Now, this was not at age 13 or anything like that. This was younger. But you have to imagine, if Dad and Mom got together, Lou got together when I was 5, it only took her 2 years to start on me, because she started taking me to doctors at 7. And it only took her 5 years to find a solution to get rid of me. So I believe firmly myself that Lou had issues. And I'm sure of it. I can't prove it because no one diagnosed her. But some of the doctors, like I said, that we saw in the family clinics, said she was the problem. But it was never specified what the problem was. So that's the only defense I can give. I don't, I don't know that it's ever right. I do understand with the pills nowadays that they give to kids, like Ritalin and stuff like that. My concern there is that teachers, I don't know if they're qualified to say this kid needs it or doesn't need it. I do know they consult them, but somehow I just question the qualifications a teacher has to make that determination. A doctor, I can understand. With family members, I can understand. But the school can give behavior reports, but making decisions or, pointing to a kid and say they need this or they need that, I wouldn't trust my father with that kind of decision. That's just my opinion. Or most of the teachers that I knew. Someone that teaches finger painting, I'm not going to, put too much stock in their psychological abilities to determine what I need. Not that finger painting's bad. I enjoyed it immensely. like I said, I got kicked out of school, all the schools. I went to my uncle's house. I did fine there. Had no trouble with anybody. I may have got one spanking, maybe two at the most since I was there. There was one week at home with Lou and my dad. They got a spanking every single night from my father. So that was the issue. I was finally turned into juvenile hall for beyond parental control. I went to court. The court determined that I had not committed any crimes, so they couldn't hold me in juvenile hall. They had to find some other place. Well, I tried to get me to Napa. Napa analyzed me and said there was nothing wrong with me. Napa is a state mental hospital here in north of the Bay in California. I would have gone there gladly, any place but with Lou. And then eventually they wound up sending me to Agnews. Agnews State Hospital was an adult mental hospital. And I was only 13 years old, and they're sending me into an adult hospital with men. I think I slept in a dormitory with 40 other men, locked up, no supervision in the dormitory. I mean, they come do a walkthrough once or twice a night, but it wasn't where the office could see it or anything while you're sleeping or they're sleeping. And I was just sat there, housed. Wasn't done anything for or against or anything else as far as the doctors were concerned. They had a day room. I stayed away from that because most of the people there were crazy. So I didn't want to hang around in that. I would go down to the end of the hall. They had little day rooms down there, and usually no one was in them. So I'd play music on a record player, which is why there's a record player on the front of the book that they first made. The second book cover is actually me when I was up at the cabin at, Strawberry, up by Lake Tahoe, my family's hunting lodge that we talk about in the book a little bit. Not much. It was just a pat on the back kind of place. But we used to go there on Easter and stuff in the snow. Let's see, in Agnews, I heard they didn't have any place to send me really. And then eventually a place called Rancho Linda opened up. It was a place for actually mentally retarded kids that couldn't be in normal school, etc. And then they opened it up to behavioral problems like myself. And I got to go there. I've gotten a lot of trouble. It's all spelled out in the book at Rancho Linda. That's where I met the girls and got in fights with counselors and actually beat up a few counselors, which is really sad because that really isn't where I'm from. I guess it was just this one counselor I couldn't stand, and apparently he couldn't stand me, so we got in a fight and I actually won, which was strange. These were all college guys going to college to get degrees, I guess, in various things. And they worked up there because it was like an internship in a way. So, and we had some cool counselors and we had some square ones. We had some pretty ones. We had all kinds of things. I even talk about extensively the riot that I planned, and they found the papers too and took it seriously. And I got in a whole bunch of trouble for that. Wasn't a happy camper after they caught me doing that. I didn't think it deserved the punishment they gave me, but that's what they did. I got out of Rancho. I saw Lou finally at Rancho Linda, went up to hug her, and she said, "Don't touch me." And I said, okay. And that was pretty much the last time we ever got that close ever. I got released from Rancho Linda back to Agnews, went to not Agnews, juvenile hall. I got out of juvenile hall to a halfway house on North First Street. Messed around there for a while and doing foolish things that they have you do when you get out of lockup, I guess. I wound up finding some checks that were semi-canceled. You really couldn't see the cancellation marks on them well at all. So I went down and opened up a bank account with one of them. And I found out that if I opened a bank account, I could take a $500 canceled check, put in $250, and they give me $250 cash back. And I did that several times. Probably I knew it was wrong. I didn't really know how serious it was. I found out. I got arrested, went to jail. My dad intervened. My dad became a sheriff's deputy, by the way, in Santa Clara County, where I got arrested. He intervened and talked to, I think, the DA, and made a deal that to have me go under observation at Ag News again, and all my past and everything. And then he came and visited me and told me that I had to convince him that I was nuts, so I would get committed to Ag News or I'd go to prison. So 2 weeks of that, I knew how to play nuts because I had already been to Ag News. It was a walk in the park, and you could fake them real easy, and I did, and they were willing to accept it. So I went to Ag News until I was 20. And, pretty much that's it. I didn't really straighten my life out until I met my current wife. This is her. Hope I got that in frame. Oh no, but that's Barbara. And I went to college. I graduated from college in computer information systems. Never got a job in the industry because I was too old. I was 45 when I graduated. But as you can see, I have electronics and computers around. I hate telephones. Cell phones are terrible, but I can work with a computer. I could probably have gotten this on the computer if I had the little camera hooked up that I wanted, but I just couldn't get it done in time. And I went back to Ag News. I got out when I was 20, another halfway house. Got kicked out of that after a while for, I don't even remember what for. I'm sure it was violating some rules or something. And went with friends and all over the place. And that's kind of, I've been in and out of jail for alcohol because of alcoholism and traffic tickets and stuff like that most of my life. 1 week I got in 3 times. I got, I think, released on a Monday, picked up on a Tuesday or Wednesday, got in, got out and got picked up on a Friday. And, I was getting to the point where they're going to engrave a plaque over the bunk that I had. And I finally woke up and said, this isn't working for me. I had to find something different. I wasn't really the fastest learner. I had to learn from a school of hard knocks. And believe me, I was able to get the hard knocks to learn from it. And that's pretty much the story of my life. A lot of girlfriends, a lot of messed up relationships, 3 marriages. I guess the third one's the charm. And I have a son. My son is here and he's outside right now. He was in earlier doing the lighting for me, and he put too much on this side, I think. So, but that's my boy, and he's 44. So pretty much that's where I'm at. I'm at 4:45 here, and I'm sure we're supposed to run about an hour. So I think if we take the rest for questions, I pretty much summed up what I'm at. The book wasn't. It was funny how I got to write it, but that's out on YouTube and all those things. If anybody wants to watch my videos there, I talk a little bit, but there isn't a whole much. I do have another manuscript written. I don't have a publisher yet. So when I finish it up, maybe I'll self-publish it. I'm not sure how it's going to do, but it has all Dr. Freeman's files in it and Lou's correspondence with him verbatim. I didn't change a word of it. Okay. So, and I think my responses to it, it's very easy to say it's all lies. Actually, I could sum it up like that, but there are some truths. They just didn't seem to talk about the truths, the truth of the bad things I did. They either embellished them or made them up, because I think they needed to have me hurt somebody, and they picked my brother Bruce, that I jumped up and down and broke all the bones, his ribs and everything, and it wasn't me. I wasn't even in town that day. And they do know who it is. I'm not going to tell anybody who it is because there's no need for it. He has passed on. So there's no point in defaming him. Okay. So I don't know how we're going to handle questions. I believe this lovely young lady down here is going to take care of it for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Howard, for sharing your
Oh,
story. We
my
do have
pleasure.
a question in the chat. And do you know how many patients under the age of 18 had lobotomies by Dr. Freeman?
No, you know what? My researcher may. I don't personally. A lot of the stuff that he found out, he didn't pass by me. He wrote it in the book. He was paid by me, I guess, eventually, to write the book because I am not the writer that would write a book. I am the subject, and I was interviewed extensively.
Someone younger than you, one person.
Yeah, there is someone that was younger than me, 4 years old, I believe. But how many others? There were apparently, at least from my ear to the ground, a few, So I'm not the only one. So when they do say that I'm the youngest, that's not correct.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. I have a question. Do you remember after the lobotomy what it felt like to you? How it was?
Yes, vaguely. I think I was in a fog, what you'd call a mental fog. I think it would be kind of like getting hit in the head and having a concussion. Okay, it was, in essence, really what a lobotomy is brain damage.
Right.
So you're given brain damage, and then they want to sit back and see if you're normal or not. Well, you don't usually do that. Doesn't sound good to me. I always joke about, hey, Jim, come over here. Let me stick a couple ice picks in your eyes, twirl them around, and we'll see how it works. Okay. It's not funny, but it is to me only because I've had it done,
Sure.
So.
Here's another question.
Okay.
Have you met with others who have had lobotomies?
Yes, I have. I've met with a few. I met with one in Alabama. I believe it was, Birmingham, Alabama. I'm looking at my wife to get a nod. Yes. She's my memory sometimes. We had very close contact, not only with her, but her daughter. And she's probably passed by now. She was in a nursing home when I met with her. She is the one that sings You Are My Sunshine in the radio piece.
Okay.
I met with Carol Noel in Atlanta. Her mother had a lobotomy, and we interviewed her. I met with a lady from Florida. I don't believe we used her in the radio piece. They liked Freeman too much, and we didn't want to change their opinion. If you're happy, I want you to be happy. I want you to stay happy. We're not going to try and demote him to you where you're unhappy. So there was 3. I had offers to meet more. I just couldn't. I don't fly. I was going to come out and see you guys. I'm going to do it when I do it, and I will do it on a train. That's the way I travel. Sorry. It's a little more expensive, but I feel safer, and I love doing it, and it gives me R&R time. So if I'm writing something, a speech or something, I get to write it on the train. It's 3 days. It's wonderful. And all the places I went after my initial flight to Atlanta and to Washington, D.C. and back, everything else was done by train. I didn't go to any of the awards things without a train. I didn't go to New York or Washington again without a train, or Vermont. So everything was by train.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
We have a couple more questions.
Sure.
Do you think the abuse you experienced contributed to your struggles?
Oh, I'm sure of it. I felt that my family abandoned me, because I didn't understand. I didn't understand why I felt I was singled out for the abuse. I didn't understand why my dad didn't protect me. I didn't understand why counties or other government officials didn't protect me. I didn't understand why the other doctors that had met with me and found out that I was okay, et cetera, didn't protect me. And didn't contact my dad and tell him. Lou actually came home and told Brian, they think I'm at fault. Can you imagine that? Yeah, I can imagine that, very much so. So that's an issue. I went to Ag News. I was visited by my dad on Sundays, maybe either once a month or every other week. And he'd give me $5. Giving me money always made my dad feel absolved from whatever problems we had, and Lou never came. None of the kids ever came. So, to me, it's like no one cared. Just my dad, because he felt guilty, and kept tabs on me. So, yeah, I think that was an issue. I had no mentoring. I had no teaching of how to balance a checkbook, how to survive on the streets. That's the one reason why writing the checks was, hey, I can get $500. Yeah, but it's illegal, Howard. Never crossed my mind, Yeah, it's illegal, but who cares? That's the attitude I had, So yeah, I had to learn. I don't have many filters. Sometimes I overstep my bounds in things I say with friends and stuff. Most of them understand the filtering problem. So if something's funny to me and it's not funny to them, they kind of chalk it up and don't disown me because of it, thank God, or I'd have no friends. But like I said, you can look at me and see that if I walked down the street or drove by in a car, you'd never know I had a lobotomy or any mental problems. So, I'm just a good-looking guy with a mustache. Yeah.
Absolutely. We have one more question. Do you think your personality changed after the lobotomy?
God, that's so hard. Yes, I do. How drastic? I don't know. I don't think it completely changed. Okay.
You're calmer.
I think that, yeah, I'm more, not as aggressive as I would have been. I'm not as determined, driven. Okay. I'm more introverted, if that's possible to say about me, than I think I would have been. I sometimes am ashamed of what happened to me. Okay. Some stuff I should be ashamed of. And if I was what I would say fully normal person, I damn well should have, excuse my French, because some of the stuff was wrong. but it wasn't done against Lou or my family. Stuff I did wrong was wrong in society afterwards. You know, the checks are wrong. You know, I was kind of abusive to my first wife. Definitely wrong. You know, yeah, I'm a big guy. I can push my weight around and all that. It's not the right thing to do. That's not the way you handle a relationship. And I had to learn that if you get angry, you don't strike out, you leave and go calm down. And I do that even with Barbara. Well, not too many days ago, I had to go for a drive, you know, calm down, and I come back and I let her know that I'm not ready to talk or I am ready to talk. But, you know, I mean, let me calm down so I'm have presence of mind again, you know, because when you're big, I'm a scary guy. I'm 6 feet tall or more, and she's a one-legged woman now. You know, that can be scary. I can understand that. And I have to learn these things, and I don't fly off the handle much. I may sound like I do because I have a gruff voice and stuff, but I don't do that. And you know, every one of us has had, most of us have had dealings with petty theft or something like that. I've done that in the younger years, but you know, I'm an honest guy now. I really am. I don't mind sharing my troubles and my wrongs. I think it's necessary to acknowledge them. And even when we talk about Lou, I'm not a perfect guy. I didn't like Lou either. Lou didn't like me. So if she poked me in the eye, I would have poked her in the eye back. That's the way I thought. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, you know. And unfortunately, she was the adult and in charge. And so whatever story she gave my dad took. You know, I didn't do anything wrong. Howard did this out of the blue. You know, 12-year-old boy comes up with this, right? So, you know, we need to. I think overall we need to learn to live with each other, love each other, and care for each other. And that's what I'm about today. Nowadays, all the people, you know, some people don't deserve it. Some people need it desperately. You know,
Yeah.
so that's what
We
we've
have
got to learn.
Okay.
Yes.
We have a note from our director. She says, Mr. Dully, your book is probably the #1 selling book in our gift shop at the Glory. Our visitors really learn a lot from it. So thank you for sharing your story with the world.
Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. I enjoy this meeting with people like you as much as possible. I even talk to colleges, psych classes, and high school classes, psych classes. They have me on Zoom and I don't know, with some kind of chat stuff my son knows, not stuff I know. Okay. But I really want to get to see you guys someday, and we're working on that. And we got to get my wife mobile again. We got things. I just got a delivery today for the car to put her power scooter on the back of the car so I can drive her around the city even. But we're going to get some money together. Both of us are going to get on a train and we're going to go visiting.
We
You
would
know,
love to have you here.
I'd love to go there. Love to see y'all. Okay. I've been to Kansas, I don't think I've been to St. Joseph, Missouri, but I've been to Kansas.
That's pretty
So
close.
that's where the train goes through. All righty.
Thank you so much for your time and your story.
Okay. You guys
Okay.
all take care.
You too.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone. We're going to close now.
How do you think it went?
I think it was good.
Pretty good.